Meryl. Thank you all for being here. Just before we get started, as usual format, if you could enter your questions into the Q&A portion of the Zoom meeting, that would be great. And we will try to get to those as soon as possible. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So happy Monday and welcome to the agency support meeting. My name is Lisa Merrill. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the Assistant Information Services Manager, and I work directly under Leslie Miska. She's on a much-needed vacation. Hopefully she'll be back on Wednesday. And so I'm going to take over for her for today anyway. First of all, I want to thank each of you for providing outstanding support to your colleagues during this transition time from EIS to Evergreen. I know that it has been a little bit trying, but I just came back last week and I can testify to the fact that everybody is working so hard and so you guys are just collaborating so well to get answers and to get those out to everybody that you work with. So it's much appreciated. We're making incredible strides in understanding the system. You guys, as well as us, we're working through the issues to a resolve and sharing that information as quickly as possible. So I just want to give you all our sincere thanks for everything that you've done. And we're moving forward, and I think we're on a good trajectory here. So for today, what I'd like to start out with is two very important messages that we brought forth in the 8 o'clock meeting on Friday for all of the providers. And there are two PowerPoint presentations. One is around the service implementation plan, and the other is around plan signatures, the workaround for revised migrated PCPs. So these two documents can also be found in the help section of Evergreen. They're available for you to actually view. You can also download them and disseminate them as well if you need to. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everybody. And we're going to look at the service implementation plan first. And I'm not sharing the right screen. Hold on. I can't quite get it. Hold on just a second. Having technical difficulties. Nikki, are you right there?
Yeah, if you want to send me the PowerPoint, I can see if I can share it from my side.
That would be great. So sorry, everybody. Just bear with me. So sorry. Okay, Nikki, those are coming your way.
Outlook is a little bit slow today, so we're just waiting for it to come over. Sorry about
Sure. No, I tried to share. It just wouldn't go to my screen. So apparently Zoom has the case of the month. You know what? It's April Fool's. That's probably what it is.
that. Yeah.
And Nikki, once you get that, we can start with the service implementation plan first.
Sounds good. Looks like it still hasn't come over just yet. There are a couple questions in the Q&A if you want to try to tackle some of that while we see if Outlook will cooperate. That might be helpful.
Really great. Let's see. See if I can find that. Hold on.
And hey, Lisa, I can unmute myself. I could answer the one how to print off reportable events real quick.
Thank you very much. I can't even see
try.
you, so you go right ahead.
I'm gonna try and share my screen to do it though real quick.
Good. Yes. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see how it goes. Oh goodness, that's not what I want to do. All right, can people see my screen? Can people see my
Yes.
here? Here, I'm gonna. Hopefully, there's a reportable event in there. I gotta just move stuff around here. We go. Oh, I can see. Once you're in a reportable event, you hit expand all, Control P, and voila. There's a reportable event for you. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you, Nancy.
Sure.
Yeah, and Nancy, can you see I can't see the Q&A either. Emily was saying that she can't see it
I
either.
can see it. I'm trying to get worked up one. There's only 6 questions that I can see right now.
Okay.
Yes, Nancy, Alexi and Emily were just added as co-hosts, so they should have access to the Q&A now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then Nancy, whenever you're ready, I can pop up the other slides.
Oh yeah, let me stop sharing. You can go ahead.
Nance, do you want to take over the presentation of the SIP and the PCP, or do you want me to
She's
go ahead
gonna
and
show
try?
it. I can. Either way, I don't mind.
You're the expert at it, so.
I'm not sure about that, but if do you want to go through the entire thing with all the slides, or go ahead
Yeah.
if you want to? Yep, go to the next slide. Well, I can quickly go through it so that. So basically, you're gonna click on the report in the top right. Hold on, I gotta move people out of the way. That'll navigate you to the reports list page. Next slide, please. So in some cases, the report will automatically pop up. So for providers, I believe there's only 2 reports that pop up for you guys. And one is the SIP and one is the to-do report. If case managers were running this for some reason, they would have other options. So they would have to then search for the SIP provider invitation report. You want to double click on the report to open it. Next slide, please. There's a note here that SIP form status filter is defaulted to in progress. So it's already where you want it to be. For those providers, you're going to want to hit preview, and that will navigate you to the results list page. Next slide, please. So this is what it will look like once you do that. We've blacked out the PHI, obviously. Can you go to the next slide, please? After navigating to results list page, click on export, shown in the screenshot. You can export the results to Excel or PDF or Word. Go to the next slide, please. Scroll to the right and you will see the column active. You want to locate the person ID. So you want to make sure you keep track of this. You're going to want to keep note of all this information. The person ID that has a PCP, which is active equals no, and the latest modified date. So you might have someone who has 5 different entries in there, and you want to make sure you're keeping track of the one that's active no and the latest modified date. You're going to want to keep track of that because you're going to need it on slide 8 and slide 11. Next slide, please, Nikki. You're going to take the person ID from the SIP provider invitation report. You're going to enter it into the Evergreen search up there as it's circled. And you're going to hit enter. Next slide, please. Once the person has dashboard, on the left navigation, click on Forms Plans as shown in the screenshot, which will navigate you to all forms list page. Next slide, please. On the top right, you see hamburger and the 3 lines. We call it the hamburger. It could be the upside down triangle. It's a tornado, whatever you guys want to reference it as, but it's that little one that's circled with the 3 lines that are descending in size. Then you're going to select the person-centered plan under care plans forms, which will navigate you to the PCP custom forms page. Next slide, please. So here you're going to click on the 3 lines that I call barbed wire. Sometimes I call it a guitar fret. It's 3 lines with the little dashes, little lines in it, down at the bottom with a little circle. And you're going to click on column select. Then you're going to click the following options, active and status. You're going to click on the 3 lines again, the barbed wire, to make sure that'll make that modal go away. And then you double click on the form ID from the SIP provide invitation report. Next slide, please. Note, when you get to this page, you're going to see, sorry, you don't have access to this page. No worries. You really do have access to the SIP. Click on the SIP tab shown, and the screenshot will navigate you to the SIP forms list page. Next slide, please. Double click on the SIP form that's in the status of in progress for your service. So you want to look for the one that is for you to complete. Next slide, please. You want to turn your edit mode on, as shown in the screenshot, and then you want to turn your quick view on, as shown in the screenshot. Next slide, please. You're going to click on the pencil, as shown in the figure. You're going to edit the SIP details window. Is open. Then the edit SIP details window will open. You're going to enter all required fields on the screen. You're going to make sure that you check that box that says, checking this box signifies my agreement to provide the services reflected in the plan. Next slide, please. Once you've done that, you're going to click save. But before you do anything else, you're going to double check and make sure this is exactly how you want it. Right names, right service, right goals, right things you're going to work on. All that's correct. You got that little box checked. Once that is all set, you've double checked it. Then you're going to check under the status drop down. You're going to select submit. Next slide. I think that's it. This last slide, right?
Thank you, Nancy. I could take the PCP one if you want.
Okay.
Trying to put you on the spot for that SIP. So.
That's fine. It's fine. My voice is a little weak, but
I know.
run out of air.
Thank you, Nancy. That was for the SIPs, the Service Implementation Plan. So the next PowerPoint presentation is for the PCP, and it is for any revised migrated PCP. And so basically we were having some issues around signatures, and the plan would not complete because of the signatures. It kept saying that there were signatures missing. So we do have a workaround for that. So if you want to go ahead and pull that up, thank you, Nikki. And you can go right to the next slide. So in this slide, this shows that this is the person-centered plan. This would be the migrated, revised person-centered plan. So you actually are revising from a migrated plan from EIS. So it has migrated data. And when you do the revision, what it does is it takes the data and then it puts it into a workable format for you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is ensure that your edit mode and your quick search are on, which is it will turn orange. From there, you're going to scroll down to the summary of the plan and click on plan signatures. Then the plan signatures section will be displayed. So a note here is the self section is migrated from EIS. So there's no data in the signature type. So on the migrated PCP itself, it actually says there's a date and it says migrated from EIS. And when you move that forward, when you revise it, it will actually clear that out. So it will be blank, which makes the completion requirement incomplete. Next slide, please. In order to process this plan and move it through its paces, you will need to click on the retract button as shown in the screenshot. The data in the self section would be then cleared, allowing you to move this from pending provider selection to state review. Next slide. I think there's only two, right?
Now, it goes in just to show that it could happen in every one of the signature pages,
Right.
signature boxes. So it just goes through each one, make sure you clear them all out. And then there was only one thing that I would add to that, which I don't think it's in the slides, and that is if you did all of that and it's still incomplete, it might be that there's nothing, that there's still a box that's editable that needs to be edited.
Right. Mm-hmm. In this, we have tried this out several times, and this does seem to work perfectly. Thank you, Nikki. So that's all we have today to show people, but what I'd like to do is open up the phone lines for everybody, but it's hard to everybody just to start talking yes and Lucinda already raised her hand. So for the format going forward, I would like people to raise their hand, use the raise hand function within Zoom, and I'll call upon you, and then we'll try to field your questions. We do have many experts on the phone, so we will review your question, and then we'll get the proper person to answer. So let's kick it off. Lucinda, you're first.
I have an individual who's living in a PNMI and it's changing over to a Section 21 waiver residential. So I need to go in and do a reconsideration for Section 21 for somebody who's already on the wait list. So I went in and I opened up the plan for the reconsideration. And in the completion requirements, it says that I need the choice letter, the comp assessment, and the PCP. When I click on them, I get a list and I'm supposed to link them to that plan, but it's not allowing me to link so that I can then forward the request over for review and consideration. So how do I get those details to link? And if it's not working, is there a workaround for those reconsiderations?
So I can speak to this for just a second. Cindy, you don't need to do the comp assessment. If you haven't already done one for this individual, you can simply just attach the BMS 99 and use that.
You are amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I have to attach the, well,
right.
how do I do the BMS if it's an old one that doesn't, it's not a reversioned one to update it?
The issue here is this is going to take a long time, and the best way to do this is have her show her screen. And if we want to do that, we should do that, because I'd need to see that PCP and what the dates are. I need to see the packet that she has open. And I did see Lucinda's comments in my email box, and it came to a handful of us. And we do have half-hour slots that we're trying to put people into to try to resolve these situations.
Okay.
And
I just want to say that I think there's like a few things going on here, Lucinda. So let's try to get back to you separately so we don't hold up all the more general questions.
That's fine.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Lucinda. And as they said, people will reach out to you to try to help you through that process. Hannah Pullen, please. You're on mute, Hannah. There you go.
Where I clicked that button, but that's okay. I have two hopefully quick questions, if that's okay. I've kind of sent some other ones on that I'm just gonna let permeate before I follow up on those. But this has definitely been a recurring issue for like probably 50% of the individuals that we're serving across like our agency, to where Nancy, that was a great tutorial on that SIP. And I feel like we're pretty comfortable with that process and entering SIPs when it transfers over correctly or when it's initiated correctly.
Mhm.
But, and on one of the later slides, it was like slide 8 or 11, perhaps, you had made the comment of like, make sure you check that box at the bottom, but there's a section between, so there's the SIP assurances at the top,
Mhm.
which is why are they getting the service? And then there's a text box, right?
Mhm.
And then underneath, when things work the way that they're supposed to, the goals that are assigned to us as a waiver provider are migrating over. And then we're able to click on that and put who's working on this goal, how is it being tracked, who's tracking it, and then put in our implementation strategy. But at least half of the time, that section is missing and we can't click on anything to put those pieces in that goal progress section. Do you have any ideas on why that might be happening, or how do we resolve that? Because right now it's a lot of back and forth and trying to coach something that we can't even necessarily see on our end. So that's been tricky.
My guess is going to be that the issue that those aren't coming through the way they're supposed to is back earlier in the plan where you identify those goals and you attach the services and that's not done the way it should be at the time that they're sending the SIP. So I guess I would say for those ones that are coming to you that are incomplete,
Okay.
it's something that should be taken care of in the plan. And as long as that plan is in any status but complete, it can be worked on. Those can be adjusted.
Okay.
Now that SIP came to you, and I believe if as long as it's still in progress, there's things that we can do to go back and make those adjustments in the plan. And then I believe that, I mean, I'm going to take this back to everybody else, but that's my initial response is that the reason it didn't come over the way it should have in that middle section is something previous in the plan that needs to be adjusted before it gets sent off to you.
Okay.
Or
that's
before it gets
kind of
sent
what I
back to you.
thought, which means probably a lot of more work between now and then to get it totally all sorted out. However, I guess, can I just ride that wave for a moment to ask a follow-up question?
Sure.
So the process before, not to go back to old times, but in EIS, my understanding was that when PCPs were being created, they were considered open and unlocked while waiver providers were supposed to go and put in the SIPs that were attached to that plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, more recently, and again, this is perhaps because we don't all have all the details and I'm just trying to fill in the blanks.
Yep.
It is sounding like from case managers that before we are able to put in our SIP, that they are creating the PCP, like having to go through some sort of submitting it and approval process before we're allowed to touch it or put our SIP in. Because I've had services lapse as I wait for where's the notification, and there's no SIP for me to today. I have a plan that I should be able to put in today, and there's no SIP available for me to put it into. So that could be a separate follow-up, but
no, I just very quickly, I just want to, when a case manager is working on a PCP, they can be working on that PCP. They can set it for state review and still work on those things for the SIP. You wouldn't get the SIP until they invite you. So they could be working on, I mean, I would encourage that they actually get all that stuff done before they actually put it to state review.
Right.
But they should not go beyond state review. If there's going to be a change in service and they need you to fill out a SIP, this should never go beyond state review until program management looks at it and does that, moves it beyond there. Unless it's a 90-day review only, where there is no change in services, nothing is changing, you're just doing a 90-day review. That is the one that you would move through each step till you get to plan complete.
So maybe that's like a seed that I plant, but I've been hearing that that's kind of how it's been going. And again, I'm not a community case manager, but that's been my experience as a waiver provider, sitting and waiting to be able to put in a plan because we're waiting for some sort of process to take place first before I get an invitation for that.
I certainly know that that's the case in a lot of situations, and it is because there are people in a lot of different places
Yeah.
when it comes to understanding
Certainly.
where to start and how to get to where they need to be. And we're working
Absolutely.
with the people individually, regularly, and we're trying to
Absolutely.
make some progress
Yeah.
in that area. So
Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully you'll see some, and I can trust you to let us know that we're making
Absolutely.
some impact, that these are starting to get better
Yes.
and better and better and better
For,
as
for
we go.
sure.
Add something as a case manager to that really
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
So we haven't been given like a guide, so we were
Right.
using the sandbox or the sandbox participant guide. And in that guide, in the step-by-step, it says to create the service, submit for state review, and once that comes back, then we link the providers. So I think that's probably where the mix-up is coming. So if
you do link the providers after the SIP goes as soon as you invite.
So
as soon as you invite a provider, that SIP is gone and notifications, and it's sitting there waiting for the provider to do anything with it.
I think the hiccup was when we submitted it for state review, because of sometimes with the notification issue, it was taking a little bit longer to get those back. So we can move on, because we weren't getting notifications as a case manager that it came back from state review.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm hoping going forward, Hannah, that
Yes.
it would be a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know it's all a part of the process, but
Yeah.
it's just helping me organize my thoughts so I can help my people too. And then I had one last super quick question. When Evergreen went live, I know that a lot of people, and I think some people are still using paper SIPs sometimes as a workaround. Although again, my goal and my hope is I just want to stick it right in there. But I had a situation occur where I submitted a paper SIP. And so as the waiver provider, it got attached to a PCP that I can't access or view yet. In the near future, is there a situation where I'll have to go back in and enter that SIP into Evergreen to see it? Or is the better guidance is to just wait until we get it so that we can start seeing PCPs once they're finalized again? I'm just trying to make sure I don't let something fall off my radar if I have more work to do.
I would, and I'm only going to guess that the situation was one that was a new individual to your service.
No, not in this
somebody-
situation.
Okay, yeah, because they are using paper SIPs.
Mhm. I
And
think
you don't
it had to do with, we weren't sure how to fill out the waiver provider section, so things didn't come in correctly, and then it was a whole thing. But again,
Yep.
would be happy to follow up individually outside this meeting and
Good.
not take up anybody else's
I
time.
do. Yes, I'm gonna let Lisa respond to the whole working with providers to have some discussion around stuff. So
That's good.
Yes, thank you, Nancy. And just to kind of follow through with what Nancy was saying is that within this week and next week, we're going to start to reach out to SIP providers and reportable events providers and try to replicate what Nancy has been doing with the CCMs as well, so that we can provide you with some one-on-one attention, training. We can answer your questions and all of that. So that's to come. Hopefully we can start that later on this week. So we'll be reaching out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kendra Harriman.
Hello. I only have one quick question. So I have an individual that has had services with us. They're gonna have an increase in hours. So I was working with a case manager to get that done in Evergreen. For some reason, we're not listed as a service provider. Even though we've had plans for them in EIS, they didn't come over to Evergreen. And the case manager's telling me that it's nothing on their end they can do for us to be listed as a service provider. So I'm just stuck in limbo with neither of us knowing what to do.
Hold on just a second. What is the name of your agency and the location?
Living Innovations, and we're in Newport.
Well, you definitely are in there. I know that.
Yeah, no, we are definitely. It's just this one individual that the case managers, like, you guys aren't listed and they're trying to do their part, but I can't do a SIP because.
Is it the service location? They just can't find the service location. Is that what it is?
could be. I'm gonna guess that's probably what it is. When they go to search up the provider at the bottom, they're struggling with finding the correct one.
Okay, because
We
they
are
made
seeing
it.
that a lot.
Okay, maybe that's what it is, because he just keeps coming back and saying it's something on your end, you need to do something, and
Well,
I'm like,
that's not necessarily true. There are some situations where we get brand new services, like a shared living situation where it's a brand new location that they're trying to get through to have services approved at so that they can bill for that service. And it is a lengthy process to get them totally through that process to be able to get back into Evergreen as a location. But if you've been providing that service all along, it sounds like we need to look in our stuff to see why it's not pulling up.
and why the stuff
Exactly.
didn't transfer over for some reason.
So Kendra, if you could do me a favor, if you could actually email the evergreen.dhhs@maine.gov with
Okay.
the NPI +3 and the street location of your what you're looking for, so that I can just verify that everything looks fine within the system.
Okay. The only other thing I've been dealing with is what you were just saying, Nancy, is I have a brand new shared living program, never had services with us, and just trying to get them to
You
show
can
up.
you can include that as well, Kendra, and I
Okay.
will go ahead and look at that. I know I've got a whole list of people that I'm trying to look through, so I will add you to the list as well.
Okay,
You could
perfect.
also, Lisa, you're trying to make sure it's ready to go and get into Evergreen so that it can be billed at?
Yeah, I talked to the case manager and I asked for access, and she goes, "Well, we don't give access anymore. This isn't EIS." She said
So
she's
no,
gonna have to do her part and do a
I'm
bunch of
wondering,
other stuff.
you're trying to bill at a location that's brand new? Is that what is happening here?
Yeah, brand new.
Oh,
Yeah, brand new
So
location.
it's, um, Lisa, can't she also go to MIMS to find out if that process is,
Yes, to see that that's all finalized and all of the if it's active, as long as
right,
it's
that's the thing, it has to be active for it to come across to our Evergreen system.
correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. She was just telling me that she had stuff on her end she had to do before before I could even find that person in Evergreen. So I was just confused.
Well, if the it should be a paper SIP, there's a process, a workaround for a brand new service for someone at a new agency.
Okay.
But as far as if want to make sure that your location, that's probably one of the things that she's gonna have to do is try to find that location. And if that location is not active and in our system, we can't go beyond that
Right.
step. So we
Okay.
are encouraging people it's a new location to go check with MIMS to see where they're at with that, because it's not just going to MIMS and saying, yeah, you're approved. It has to go through, and I don't know the names of these, but goes to one place, comes back to MIMS, contract gets added, at some
Right.
point it becomes active, and then at that time when it's active, that night it will feed into our system.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'll definitely make sure to send out those emails. That's all I have for questions for now.
Thank you, Kendra.
Thank you.
Cynthia Renko.
Hi there. Oh, sorry. One question was already answered by Emily, so thank you, Emily. I appreciate that. My other question was today, I had a coworker that was unable to follow up for an IR because she did not have access to the client. She emailed Evergreen and the reply was, I do not see anybody you need access to. But we have another coworker who does have access and she'll file for follow-up. It's not a problem. However, I don't know what to do now to get access for coworker number one. We were told you're basically out of luck. And I'm like, okay, why does one have access and the other doesn't?
Did you email the evergreen.dhhs?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds to me like it's a role,
Exactly.
assignment
We
there.
got replied that I don't see anybody you need access to. And I'm like, okay, that's not helpful.
Okay. So can you go ahead and forward that email to me specifically, Cynthia? And that's
Lisa Merrill?
lisa.merrill@maine.gov.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
How about Adam Way?
Hello. So yeah, we have a new individual that we submitted a paper SIP for. and I can see that client in Evergreen, and I had received notification, even though we did a paper SIP, a service implementation plan has been open for revisions. That notification is now not in Evergreen, and the case manager, we're sort of stuck. She has emailed the appropriate places, but we're trying to get authorization to work with this individual. We're ready to go as soon as we can do that. What is the quickest way for us to get connected and get that authorization so we can move forward?
So you've submitted a paper SIP, correct?
Back on March 15th, yes.
Okay. And right now you're waiting to hear if the plan's been completed, or what is it that you're waiting for?
I'm looking, I don't know what I'm looking for.
Right.
Okay.
What I thought would happen, I thought things were going in the right direction when I got notification, from action that the case manager took. I now go back into that person's, dashboard, and those two notifications are not there anymore.
Correct. We actually we had a kind of a snafu with a hotfix that we did to our system, and it turned on notifications, but then we retracted the notifications. So that happened last week. So we were aware of that would happen.
Okay.
But as far as processing your plan and the services, have you talked to the case manager yet?
Yeah, we've talked several times in regard to this. She is getting some sort of notification that it isn't complete, and she's trying to get clarification on what it needs to be complete. She thought she had done it correctly, and
You have a person ID by chance? I could take a quick look.
98.
No, hold on. Let me just make sure I'm in that screen. Go ahead.
It's 9848.
All right, I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy, can you just directly message Adam? That'd be great.
I'll try. Let me just get something in case I'm Adam. What's your last name, Adam?
Way, W-A-Y.
Nancy, this is Emily. I can help you with contacting if needed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Emily. I'm just gonna take a look real quick.
Perfect. And I'm going to go ahead. Thanks, Adam. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next question, and while they work on yours for you.
Wonderful.
Thanks. Heidi Lamson.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to unmute myself. I posted it and I keep looking to see if anybody answered. I know we had notifications turned off, so now I'm receiving notifications, and I reviewed a reportable event, but the date didn't show up after in Evergreen itself that I had reviewed and acknowledged that. Is that supposed to come up?
Yeah, it's supposed to, Heidi.
It doesn't see, I don't see it after the fact, so to speak.
So you acknowledged, though, you're the case manager.
Yep.
And you acknowledged that?
Yep.
And it should be complete now, correct?
Yeah, but it doesn't, like, should something come up, date accepted, or when I acknowledged it after receiving any notifications?
Not necessarily. It would show in the workflow history. If you go into the workflow history, you can see where the date that you acknowledged.
Okay. Well, I see it down in the bottom, but I was just wondering,
yeah.
Is it going to show up somewhere else? Did I miss something? Okay.
No, you should be fine to acknowledge it. That's what your piece is. And there's an acknowledge, and then there's actually a text box where you can put in additional information.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
That was easy, huh, Nancy?
Yeah, that was super easy. Ellen Berger. You're on mute, Ellen.
Sorry. I just quickly wanted to clarify something that was being talked about with Hannah earlier. So while a plan is in state review, I know case managers are still able to edit. Can SIP invitations be sent out prior to that approval? And while it's in review, or does that approval have to completely go through?
They can continue to work on that plan and invite providers to submit a SIP. They do not have to wait for the state review. I put that into the chat in case anybody is interested in finding it.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Ellen. Loni Magusha. I think I said it right. I'm not positive, but.
No, you're right. You're right.
Thank
So
you.
yeah. My question is, I think I reached out to Nancy. It's we are unable to locate the SIP invite, and we have an individual that is coming beginning next week. I know Nancy, you suggested you know, we can do a Zoom meeting on Friday. Is there any way we can do that before? Because I try to follow, you know, the guide.
I'm not laughing at the fact. I'm just my schedule is
Yeah,
meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting, and but I mean, you are on the schedule for Friday. Is that, I mean, I know that so at this point, Lisa, I just want to take a moment to say that, you know, we're really trying to get to those urgent situations that are like today and yesterday. So if it's something that's supposed to start this week or next week, if I can get you on Friday, I'm hoping we can start pretty quickly after that. Again, I don't know, because I don't know. Every situation is very individualized, and it really depends on what we find when we get in there. So I need to see your situation. I'm assuming that you can't see the SIP. I don't know why. We haven't done a lot of work with providers yet, and I have been taking some and putting them on the schedule. So
yeah, I got stuck on the second slide. You know, the slide that you started with. Yeah, I got stuck, you know, somewhere on the second slide. So.
Okay.
So are you able, Loni, to download that from the help center? That may help you quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, I have it.
I'd have to see where the second slide, where exactly you got stuck. That's what we're going to help you with, though. We're really going to help you once we get you on the phone. And we found that the people that we do actually sit on the phone with, once we've shown you how to do it, people are like, oh my gosh, I can do my job now. So hoping that's what we can do for you on Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa, can I just jump in real quick for Adam? We are meeting with that case management agency on Friday. So if we don't have resolve, I would ask him to have that case manager bring that case up.
Okay,
Friday
I will.
with us.
I will email her and let her
Ping
know.
her and tell her that we are meeting with them on Friday, and I'd like her to be ready to present it right off first thing. It's at we are meeting with them at 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday.
Very good.
Awesome. Thank you, Nancy. No more questions? Charlie, you guys have some more questions. I promise I'm not going to keep you past 5. I promise. Any other questions? Does any of the ODE staff? Oh, look, I've got one. Krista.
Oh, hold on. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm doing a change in service where the provider changed their address, and I did the new SIP. I just need to close out the old SIP, correct?
Yeah. So you did the new service, and are you saying you added the new service and support?
But when I look at the SIP tab, there's an old SIP and a new SIP.
Right.
So I need to implement the new one and close the old one, correct?
I would think the new one is in progress. Is it?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the provider to do it.
And the old one is closed, or it's
Right now it still
implement-
says it's implemented.
implemented.
Close it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the guidance, Lisa, to give to that. If Udaya was on, I'd be like, Udaya.
Yeah, I think you close it. I don't know.
Right.
Udaya's not here either. Go ahead and close it. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure that's the right
worst
way.
case scenario, you have the one that's there that you can work off of. So
Yes.
we
Okay.
do this all eligible. Oh, give it a shot. Give it a go. We'll
I'm fine with that.
lead people on.
Lucinda Turcotte.
I don't remember the person who asked the question, but I wanted to go back to it with regards to the SIP issue and not being able to identify the case manager, not being able to identify the NPI number to be able to forward the SIP. The question that I had about that was, it's a new provider, which when we send out the invites for the new providers, doesn't it come up as application only because we're not actually putting in the MPI? We're just, I thought with new providers, when we send out the invitation, that we're just selecting the agency and the service, and then they submit the SIP, and we add it, and then after the state approval, after the state review, then we go in and actually select the provider and the MPI. Is that correct? Could that be maybe why the case manager isn't finding the MPI number? Because
Angela, did you hear that question entirely?
I could not hear that question. Sorry.
What I heard was, Lucinda, I really think that we need to reach out to you individually and work with you on that cases, on that situation, that question as well.
No,
I think
this is regarding somebody who spoke earlier.
Yep.
That the case, she said the case manager couldn't find their MPI number to be able to send the invite, but they're a new provider. So if they're a new provider, we have to put the change of service, put in the PCP that there's a change. And then when we add the new service, it comes up as an application only status to send out the invite.
No, so the application's only status, that's where I'm getting confused. That's why we need to work with you.
Nancy, Hannah was the one that answered the question. I can see her over there going like this. So
I'm
Hannah, go ahead.
fidgeting. I'm fidgeting.
I see that. Go ahead.
So this is related to something, and I apologize. I think it gets lost in translation when I try to write and post things. But earlier in the day, I had posted about, I think what Lucinda is talking about. Hi, Cindy. Is so I have a new person who wants to come to community supports here at GTS.
Yep.
And I think when case managers are making the PCP and they start that SIP, we are being entered under like the goals section or the identify goals section as a proposed waiver service and not the waiver provider.
Right. Yep.
And then I think that's also where like we're trying to figure out what's the timeline of the process and what needs to get approved before people can do what they're supposed to do.
They should not be putting you in as a proposed service. It should be in, it should be a waiver service if they're already classified on the waiver.
And they're saying they've already identified, they're picking us as a provider.
Yep.
So to the state, we're not a proposed provider. We're the provider that they've chosen.
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay.
And
that is so clarifying. Thank you so much.
And if you are a new provider to a person, you have to submit to the case manager a paper SIP.
Okay.
Currently, okay? Then you need to ask evergreen.dhhs@maine.gov for access to that person.
So
proposed
is there,
services.
I'm gonna say, I have access to a person that I'm not serving yet. And I didn't ask for that.
Sometimes things happen that we can't explain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Under normal circumstances, you would need to ask for access to that person's record because you're going to be, you've been selected as a service provider.
Okay.
Once you are in that record, you need to take the information from the paper SIP and enter it into the SIP tab in the plan.
Okay.
And
so in terms of submitting a paper SIP, but we're just submitting that to the case manager, right?
Correct.
Ultimately, it's getting entered. Yeah.
They're going to attach it to the plan, to
Okay.
the SIP tab in the plan. So you'll be able to see it in there once you have access. But right now, you won't be able to see anything for the person because you're not assigned a location.
Hey, Angela, it's Emily. Just really quick.
Yes.
It's my understanding that I totally agree that a new waiver provider wouldn't yet have access, but once the PCP is in complete status, that waiver provider will then have access at that location specified.
Okay, thank you.
So no email needed unless, again, you see something strange is happening.
Okay.
Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Thank you. Emily, while you're right there real quick, and I don't know, maybe Donna, as far as proposed services should only be used when applying, either from 13 to 21 and 29 or from 29 to 21, correct?
Right. So I would think in most instances, that's a section 13 PCP that is linked to the application or reconsideration packet. Yep.
Right. And that's when you'd use proposed services only.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Gail Varga.
Hi, yes, we have a PNMI, and I was told PNMIs, because they're not a section 21, 29, do not enter SIPs. So just wondered how the information that we typically do for a SIP gets into those folks' plans.
PNMI services don't go into a plan as a waiver service. Currently, the services in a PCP that are specified and require SIPs are only waiver services. Services outside of waiver are documented as part of the services and supports a person needs, but are not detailed as waiver services in a PCP.
Okay, so the case manager would put all that information in the PCP?
Yes, but not under a service because it's not a waiver service, but absolutely they would capture the service and support that your agency is providing to meet the person's needs, but it wouldn't be listed as a waiver service.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so the provider doesn't really have to enter anything? I mean,
no, you need to, I mean, you probably have some sort of documentation you provide to the case manager or whatever you normally do, but it's nothing like we need for a waiver provider in the PCP as far as the SIP with an implementation plan.
Okay, great. One other quick question is about ICFs. Is that something you guys can help me with as far as entering safety device plans?
I believe
this is mostly a waiver, and that's
okay.
Similar things, but well,
I just
email HCBS is what I was going to write. If you email hcbs.waiver@maine.gov.
I think it's going through crisis at this point.
Okay. All right.
It should go through crisis and they should be working on that with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
We have time for a couple more questions. Amanda Parker.
Hey there. I just had a quick question. I've been supporting our services side and our case management side, so sometimes it gets a little muddy for me. Providers being given access to a SIP. We've been able to meet with you from our case management side and walk through how to access or how to provide that. But on our services side, we have a lot of case managers saying we can't find you or we can't see you. We don't know how to give you the SIP. So are there still known issues with providing SIPs to providers, or should we direct the case manager back to you guys? Or I'm happy to help them too with the stuff that you guys have taught us for how to assign them.
I'm not sure I understand that question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, Amanda, is that you're still getting some feedback saying that the case manager is not able to find the location in order to invite someone for a SIP. Is that what you're saying, Amanda?
So like today, they said that they could see our location, they could see the address, but they couldn't invite us to a SIP. And it's an existing person that we already support, so it's not a new person. So they could see the address, but they didn't know how to get us access to the SIP.
So what I heard what she was saying is that there are some people that, like, we know this, that everybody's in a different place when it comes to this stuff, and we are working with individuals trying to get them all to the same place. But and should she be helping, or she doesn't mind, but I don't know that that's our responsibility. It'd be great if you could help somebody who asks, but certainly anybody who's struggling finding a SIP or how to invite somebody to do a SIP could come to our mailbox, and the mailbox is the evergreen.dhhs at maine.gov.
Okay, so if
mailbox.
we direct them back to that, that's probably the best. And I don't mind helping, but
Yeah,
That would be great, Amanda. That would be actually helpful for us to start our provider reach outs, because that way we can grab that email and then we can contact them and say, hey, it looks like you could use some one-on-one.
This is a case manager. They should talk about those. So we're already kind of meeting with those individuals and just trying to get everybody to where they should be.
And it helps us to identify if we've got any others out there that are struggling with something we were unaware of. So thanks,
and
Amanda.
Our case management team has been forever grateful to the support you guys have provided. So thank you.
Yes, send that to us, please.
And Adam, I see your hand up again. Would you like to?
Yeah, it's kind of a clarifying question here. I have yet to put anything in directly to Evergreen. And when I go to my reports and I click preview in progress, there is nothing that comes up requesting a SIP. But if I select, all of the boxes in the dropdown, it creates a list 8 pages long. So is it my understanding that I'm only responsible for things that come up under in progress, as far as like actions that I need to take? I've gotten notifications back when notifications were turned on. I had like 800 of them. So I'm just want to clarify that I only should be concerned about the in progress SIP report when I hit preview. Is that a true statement?
I would say yes, Adam, and I think that if you're not seeing anything that's in progress, it's probably because you have nothing there. But that doesn't mean that there's not someone trying to get one to you, and someone might reach out to you and say, "Hey, I sent you this SIP," but then you go to that report and you can't see it. You could always look up the individual's person ID, navigate to their.
I was getting notifications when they were doing 90-day reviews, but I understood that was a known issue. I just want to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I've been in contact with all of the case managers I work with, trying to navigate all of this. But it just seemed like if I select all, like closed, pending, plan implemented, that generates a list.
You get a lot.
Right, that generates a list. But if it's only in progress, then nothing comes up. And we were fortunate enough to get a lot done before we moved from EIS over to Evergreen. So.
And the reason you get that long list when you put everything in there is because it's every SIP that's attached to any one of those individuals that you have access to. So there's the closed ones, so you really want to look at the in progress, because that's the one you have to address.
Well, that's good to know. So thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Angela, Emily, Donna, everybody, and everybody else on this call, all the providers. I appreciate each and every one of you. As I said, keep on keeping on, and we'll be reaching out to you, whether it be Nancy's team. I will be reaching out pretty soon for SIP providers and reportable event providers as well. So thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Hey, I just want to say thank you to Nancy, Angela, and Russell. I mean, everything you guys are doing behind the scenes. This is a lot, and we appreciate everything you do with our agency. So thank you.
Thanks, Heidi. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.